Welcome one and all to the wonderful world of Football Pass. I've got Big John waiting to talk all things Celtic. Mr. Hartson, of course, will have plenty to say on what happened yesterday and what didn't happen yesterday with that penalty call in the Glasgow Derby, as they now like to call it. John, I think you used to call it by a rather more popular expression. But welcome once again. What did you make of the game, John?
I thought it had a feeling of bit of a dead rubber, really. I know it's very important to games from both sides. You know, it's a game for the supporters, bragging rights. I get all that, but I thought, you know, the trophy is already at Ibrox. You know, and there's a sense of, well, I remember a couple of years ago, Matt, Celtic going Ibrox. I think Neil Lennon had recently been appointed, and Celtic had won the league, and Rangers actually won the game. And they celebrated like, you know, a bit over the top celebrations. And I thought, well, hold on a minute, you know, it's a bit, you know, that was a bit embarrassing because, you know, Celtic have already won the league. You know, what are you celebrating? Where have you been for 32 games? You know, and I was hoping if Celtic would have won yesterday, there would have been an element of that, really, because Celtic haven't turned up all season. Everything's gone wrong. And I was hoping maybe, of course, I wanted them to win the league, but just show that, you know, a little bit of humbleness, if you like, and just, you know, take the win and then, you know, don't go doing the huddles and celebrating and this, that and the other. So there was a sense of, you know, the trophy is at Ibrox. They've won the championship. They won the championship, you know, the league title very well. The game itself, I thought Celtic started to get hold of the football after about 10 minutes. I thought they got the lion's share of possession, you know, for a good 15, 20 minutes in the first half, after a bit of nervy start from both teams. And then, of course, Elyounoussi got that wonderful header, a brilliant cross from Edouard. And Elyounoussi, brave, got down low. It was a beautiful goal from Elyounoussi. And then you're almost hoping then that Celtic can see it through to half-time, maybe get another one to go 2-0 up, make it really hard then for Rangers to, you know, from 2-0 down. But they whipped the ball in, and Celtic failed to win the first header. And then Morelos has creeped in the back post, you know, and I heard the boys talking on Sky yesterday, and, you know, I think the one key area Martin O'Neill was that Celtic didn't have anybody on the back post, and if they had a defender on the back post, he probably gets to that ball before Morelos does. But from Morelos' point of view, it's his first goal against Celtic. He'll be delighted. And I thought the second half sort of fizzled out a little bit. I thought it fizzled out, and in terms of the game, you know, it was probably a fair result, really. Did either team, you know, do enough to win the game? Probably Celtic maybe edged it on chances, maybe. And people might say, well, Celtic should have done a bit more, probably pressed on a little bit more to try and win the game. Did they do enough? You know, because the one challenge left for Celtic, other than the Scottish Cup, is to try and make sure that Rangers don't go through the league unbeaten. You know, that's a big challenge for Celtic. But whether or not they showed enough, certainly in the second half, substitutions, did Lee Griffiths go on too late? You know, did they do enough in terms of going forward in the second half and pushing on late in the game? No, that was the answer. So, no, as I said, it was 1-1, but there was a feeling of the league season's gone, Matt. It's finished.
Yeah.
Although there's 5 more games to play, and although it was Celtic versus Rangers, I wasn't overly excited about the whole thing. I watched it at home on my lounge, on the settee, and I failed to get a bit excited, really, like I normally do. I'm almost jumping up all the time when goals are going in. I'm very animated. I didn't sense that yesterday.
Did you, though, feel quite involved when the referee, Willie Collin, decided it was a dive from Odsonne Edouard rather than a penalty with Borna Barisic's challenge? How did you see it?
I thought it was difficult for the referee because it happened so quick. Personally, when I first saw it, I wasn't sure. But when they slowed it down and then they showed different angles and everything, I thought it was a penalty. I thought Edouard, being the centre forward that he is, I don't think he needed to dive in that situation. The ball came into him. I think he's had an opportunity to score. And I think Borisic just makes a bit of a wild lunge to try and get there. He doesn't get any of the ball. Edouard, he gets the touch in, and then he goes over. And I think he probably felt that that was the correct thing to do. I thought it was a penalty when I looked at it. When it was slowed down, I agreed with Scott Brown that I felt it was a penalty, which is a massive then moment in the game. Willie Collum doesn't give that, but it's not easy. Simple thing for me to do, Matt. Come on here and slam the referee and say he's got to do this, he's got to do that. These decisions are not easy. That's why I think these, his officials and the linesmen, I think they've got to come in sometimes if they've got a better angle and do more. Do more when these tight decisions occur. The officials have got to help the referee. That's why they're there, not just to stick their flag up when you get offside decisions. So I felt it was a penalty, but it's one of them. It could have gone either way. That was just my view. So you just wonder why I wouldn't go down there. I don't think I ever went down.
No, mate, you would not have gone down there. I'm pretty sure about that. And of course, listen, they're getting things wrong often enough in England with VAR, so it doesn't always help to review it interminably. No. Anyway, listen, it wasn't given. I suppose you just got to live with some of those decisions, even in a big game like that. Not that it was decisive as it turned out. They will meet again once more at Ibrox, so another chance for Celtic to make sure Rangers don't go through that league season unbeaten. They could meet again in the Scottish Cup, but certainly there's a lot to do at Celtic, isn't there? There's obviously a manager to find. There's potentially a director of football. There's a new chief executive arriving in the summer. There's certainly some players departing, whether at end of loan or because they're not signing new deals and therefore will need to be sold. There's a lot on the list, isn't there?
There is. I feel there will be a turnaround of players as well. You look at the loan players, El Yunusi, John Joe Kenny, Laxalt, 3 players who started the game. Edouard, I think, will leave the football club. I think he stayed. I think Celtic sold him the 10 in a row at the start of the season. Hasn't quite worked out as they planned. I think Edouard will leave in the summer. There's been talk of a goalkeeper, Scott Bain. Are they confident in Scott Bain, to be their number one goalkeeper? There was talk of Hazard, who came in for a while, the young boy Hazard. Barkas was on the bench yesterday. So people might question they might need to go and buy a goalkeeper. They'll have to replace Edouard. Ayeti not been anywhere near good enough this season. And then you've got the youngsters then. You're not so much youngsters, sorry. You've got the quality, experienced players like the likes of Christie and McGregor, James Forrest. What are these guys going to think? I'd love to think that they might see out their careers at Celtic, but what are they thinking individually? What are their agents telling them? They've been at Celtic an awful long time now, these boys, and they've won everything there is to win. So Celtic will have work to do in holding on to these guys. They've, as I said, they've been very successful. They've been part of a quadruple treble. They can hold their heads up high, what they've achieved. And as I said, I'd love to see them stay at the football club. That the likes of Soro, Turnbull, in particularly, these guys are the future. And I'm really, really impressed with Stephen Welsh, the centre half. So I think Celtic have to build the team around, when you look at young Callum McGregor, when he was coming through, it's like Turnbull now. We need Turnbull to stay at the football club for another 4 or 5 years. Stephen Welsh, the same. Greg Taylor at left back came on to a good game before he got injured. So these are the mainstays now. These are the mainstays that you want to maybe tie them down and make sure they stay at the club, and then build a team around these people. At this moment in time, you think, well, Ayeti's not been good enough. Klamala is young, not played enough. And Edouard, so we're sitting at the minute potentially with no centre forward. a goalkeeper that we need. So there's an awful lot of work to do there, Matt. Everybody knows that. We haven't even got, a manager's not been named yet. Martin O'Neill, what a glowing reference he gave Roy Keane yesterday when he came out and said that, people will be, missing a trick if they don't appoint Roy Keane. That was some sort of reference, sort of he gave Roy yesterday. Martin's very clever, he's very wise with his words. So what he's basically saying is if somebody appointed Roy Keane, you'd be getting a very good manager. Roy's been mentioned. There's several others. So, your guess is as good as mine, mate, who eventually gets it. John Kennedy, he's making a shout for it as well.
Oh, indeed. And I guess another name that certainly I've heard, I'm sure you've heard, is Steve Clarke. Obviously, the current Scotland manager was with Kilmarnock, did great work. A Scotsman, obviously, therefore, ties, I think it's fair to say, to Celtic. So he would fit in every way except he's currently doing a great job with the national team and they wouldn't want to lose him.
Yes, he is. And I think there was question mark over Stevie Clarke. I believe he's moved back home to England. He got a little bit annoyed with all the sectarian issues surrounding the game last year when they popped up here and there. He was very vociferous. He was very vocal in speaking up about that. But the Celtic job is a massive job, as Steve knows. I really like Steve Clarke. He did a brilliant job with Kilmarnock. He's got vast experience, worked under Mourinho for many years, at Liverpool as well. So Steve comes into the fray very high up the ladder for me. But as you said there, he's the national coach of his country. They're in the Euros. So, it's entirely really down to him how he feels about club management or international management, because they're two different things altogether. I remember speaking to people like Chris Coleman and John Toshak, Mark Hughes, managers of mine over the years, and you get the players for 7 or 8 times a year. Other than that, if you're someone like Chris Coleman, who likes a bit of golf as well, it used to suit him, the international sort of setup, and it suits some managers because you haven't got the day-to-day activity, all the nitty-gritty stuff, dealing with players' issues and contracts and all this type of stuff. So some managers, maybe Steve is enjoying the international side of things, managing Scotland. You don't get much bigger jobs than that, Matt. To manage your country is the pinnacle. It's the top of the tree. Yeah. But also, I know he's a Celtic fan. I don't mind saying that. I know he's got a big liking for Celtic as well, Steve Clarke. So maybe you might pull on the old heartstrings there when they get hold of him, possibly.
Yeah, indeed. And I know you're down to your country of birth for a week to watch the national side for the next week or so. I think it's Belgium, a Mexico friendly, and then the Czech Republic. Good games for Wales.
Yeah, they are good games. We take on the #1 FIFA ranked team in the world. Don't need to go through their squad, Belgium, on Wednesday night, which is it's a great game for the players. We're without Aaron Ramsey again. Aaron Ramsey's missing. Yeah. And it's always really important when you go into these games. I have to recall again from my own days, our front three was Giggs, Hartson, Bellamy. And when we had them three fit and available, we had a better chance of winning football matches. And we had a stronger team with Aaron Ramsey in it. Yes. So again, he's a big loss. You have Joe Allen that'll come back. Joe's been playing again for Stoke. Gareth Bale, of course, has been showing a lot better form. He's getting fitter all the time. He's had some great performances for Spurs. But we struggle without our best players. We haven't got a massive pool of players. We can't pick 2 teams like England can. Like Scotland, you need all your best players firing, available. But it's a great game for the boys. It's first one up as well. So even if you lose it, you've got a lot of games to come. Belgium away is very, very difficult. And then obviously the Czech Republic, who are in Scotland's group for the Euros this summer. We've got the Czech Republic the following Tuesday. So I'm covering them for Welsh TV, S4C, the Welsh language. I'm looking for. I always love doing the games from my native sort of country. You know, give something back to the locals, the Welsh speakers. So looking forward to it.
Well, bore da from me, John, and all the best.
Bore da. Diolch yn fawr.